good to see you. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday. Yeah. Wow. It's weird because the first part of this week seemed to really drag, but now I'm sitting here like, how's it Thursday night already? God, tomorrow's Friday. Some weeks are weird like that. They start out one way and I don't know. Some weeks seem like they're a month long. I don't know. But I just did a very, very short video for my other channel and it's uploading now. I don't even think it's 3 minutes long. I couldn't tell you the last time I made a video that short. Was probably when I made a short, and that was when I was in Ollie's and I found some jelly beans or something, and I did a little short video of the jelly beans. I don't know. Gosh, okay. So what I wanted to talk about today, I have so many things going on tonight. My head is so full of stuff. Have you had a good day? I've had a good day, but you ever just get to the end of the day and your brain is like full and you can't really think anymore? My brain is very full today and I'm struggling. But I've had several people ask me on here and on the other channel too. I decided to do it here just because I felt like it. Would you talk about how can you, if I want to be a writer, what do I do? And I was thinking about it on the way home today, or on the way to an exercise class after work. And I thought, well, I don't really know that I'm qualified to speak on that. Now, do keep in mind, I am, as I say, just a goober on the internet. You can take my advice and do whatever you want to with it. You can follow it. You can stick up your middle finger at it. I'm just a goober on the internet. I don't know any more than anybody else. I've never claimed to be an expert at anything other than maybe being a bullshit artist or something. I'm pretty good at that. I'm good at being a smart ass in inappropriate situations and making everybody uncomfortable. I'm pretty good at that. And I can trip over nothing. I can just be walking down the street and trip over nothing. I don't even know. Like, I don't know what I just tripped. There's nothing there. I can just trip on nothing, and I can choke on air. I'm really good at getting choked, and there's no reason. Like, why are you coughing right now? And you can't explain it, because every time you take a breath, you start coughing again. It's very embarrassing. I'm really good at that. But what does it take? What do you think it takes? How do you become an expert writer? Like, how do you become somebody that is qualified to give advice on it? And I think that's very subjective. I mean, do you have to write a certain number of books? Do you have to be a writer for a certain period of time? Do you have to be famous? Do you have to be rich? I mean, did you get rich off being a writer? Are you allowed, are you qualified to speak on it if you've only been a writer for a year? Do you have to be a writer for 20 years? And I was thinking about it. I thought, I don't know. I've never really thought about it. Who would I consider to be an expert? I don't know. I really don't know. It's kind of like knitting. In my mind, I compared it to knitting. I don't know what it would take for me to say that a person is an expert at knitting. I guess I would know it if I saw it. I don't know anything about knitting. Do you have to be able to knit different kinds of things? Do you have to do a certain amount of knitting? I don't know. What level does somebody have to reach to be considered an expert? I don't know. Well, I don't consider myself an expert writer. I don't. I've always enjoyed it. I've been writing since I was a kid. I used to like to write short stories and poems. I wrote a lot of poems and a lot of short stories. They're pretty shit. I mean they're pretty bad, but I think for a kid they weren't that bad. I think some of them were pretty decent for a kid. I only have a few of them left. I have some around here somewhere in like a portfolio or something. I have some poems and stuff that I wrote. I don't know. Looking back, I read it now and just kind of roll my eyes like, oh my God, that is so corny. But it was stuff I was very proud of at the time. And that's one thing about writing is that, it's like any kind of growth in your life. If you don't look back at how far you've come and go, oh God, then you really haven't grown very much. If you look back at your beginning stuff and there's not a lot of change, then there may not have been a lot of growth there. You should be able to look back and go, wow, I've worked hard and I've come a long way. Some people kind of stall out. And can everyone be a great writer? No. That's just like saying, you know, everybody can't be a great football player. Everybody can't be great at fishing or pouring cement. I mean, you're not going to be great at everything. Everything has, we all have our limits, but you have to figure out what your limits are. And with writing, the way I look at it, if you enjoy it, does it really matter if you're good at it or not? Like the Carpenter song, you know, sing a song, even if it's not good enough for the world to hear or something, sing it anyway. You know, if you enjoy it, you should do it anyway. I love to write. I love to tell stories. I've always been fascinated by that. I wish I had it, but I used to have a cassette tape that I made when I was about 10 years old, where I had this little tape recorder. It was my dad's. I borrowed it. And I had these little stuffed animals. I remember I had this panda. I had this stuffed panda, and it came with these two little baby stuffed pandas. And I played with those pandas for oh my God, I don't know, for just hours and hours and hours over the span of several years. And I took these pandas on all these adventures. And I recorded a lot of them. It was just, I would just make it up as I went, and I would tell these stories, and I would narrate the story, and there was dialogue, and there were character arcs. These pandas did all kinds of stuff. And I had a tape, and I filled up both sides of that cassette tape with all these stories of these adventures that these pandas went on, the mama panda and the baby pandas. And they had all these adventures together. I would give anything to have that tape. I have no idea where. It probably got thrown away, or maybe it messed up or something. I don't know. I don't know. I no longer have it. I wish I had it. That would be so damn cool. But yeah, these pandas did. I remember one of the things they did. They ended up getting into a wrestling match. They didn't mean to, but they ended up in this wrestling arena. And I don't remember why they were there, but they all three ended up having to wrestle somebody. It was like a crocodile or something. And they had to do like tag team to take the crocodile down, but they ended up winning the match. And it was like, it was this big upset, and it was crazy. And then they had to run out of there, and I don't know. But I've always enjoyed telling stories. I love it. I see it in my mind, and I just explain what I see. Like, I imagine these pandas in my mind, and that's what they were doing. And they went all kinds of places and did all kinds of crazy stuff, just crazy stuff. Like one time they stole a hot air balloon, and they went off to this place to a festival, and they had to learn how to land it, and I don't know. That's the great thing about it, is when you write a story, it's like when you paint. You know, and Bob Ross likes to talk about that a lot. You get your artist license with your first tube of paint. You can do anything. You get your canvas, and you can make anything with it. There's no limit to what you can do. And so you have your paper and your writing utensil, and you can create on that paper, in that notebook, or whatever you're doing, or if you're using a laptop or you're typing it or whatever, you can create any world you want to, and you can make anything happen there. You are like the master of the universe at that moment. And it's so neat, because that story can take all the twists and turns you want it to take. You're not limited by anything. Just your imagination and your ability to craft the story the way you want it to be. It's just the neatest thing, and I've always enjoyed it since I was a kid. I think you create new things, even though it's scary. You create when there's a tension in your mind at all times. There's a tension when you create. I don't know what it is, but when I start to create something, it's like I'm afraid. I don't know what, it's almost like it's scary. I don't know why. I think it's that big empty page. And I'm going to do that first line like, oh God, here we go. It's like you're at the top of the roller coaster, you know. Here we go. And, you know, just go for it. When the tension, the desire to create is a stronger tension than the fear of creation, that is when you create. You have to overcome that fear, because your desire to create is stronger than that fear, and you can overcome it. And that's when you can finally create stuff. Does that make any sense? That's how I see it in my mind. Now, I'm currently, one of the great things about my job is that I have my lunch hour every day. And what I've been doing since I started this job is Not every day, but I bring my lunch every day. Sometimes I'll go out for a walk or I'll go run an errand or something on my lunch hour. But a lot of days, I will sit at my desk, I will eat my lunch, and then I will dedicate at least a half hour to sitting there and working on my story, Holiday. I bought a bunch of notebooks. I'm using legal pads at this point for the story. Sometimes I use spiral notebooks, sometimes I use legal pads. I take a legal pad with me to work, and I just write. I just work on that story. And then when it's full, when I fill up the legal pad, I bring it home, and I have the story saved on my computer here at home. I type it, and then I'll take a fresh legal pad to work and start on another one and just keep going. And so that's been one great thing about my job, is that it's kind of forcing me, like I don't have anything else to do. It's just kind of forcing me to sit there and work on my story. At least 2 or 3 days a week, I am doing that for a minimum of 30 minutes, sometimes more. And it's been fantastic. Wow, I've gotten so much done. Actually, I have a whole new notebook to start typing up. I finished it today, and I'm gonna start on it today. And I got to take a fresh notebook to work in the morning. I got to remember to do that. I have a whole stack of them downstairs. I just have to remember to take a new one with me. But how do you become a writer? I don't know. I cannot imagine not doing it. You know, I've been doing it as far back as I can remember. I've been doing it since I was able to write, basically. And before that, I would just come up with stories and just say them out loud, and I would narrate whatever I was, you know, like I'm playing with toys or whatever, cars, and the cars could talk, and they would, you know. But when I was able to write, I started writing stuff down, and I was just fascinated by the concept of doing that. I always have been. I can't imagine what it would be like to not be that way. Because I've always been like that. Pointers. I ramble a lot, and that's one thing I really have to rein in when I'm writing. Is like, Mary, stay on topic. That's a challenge for me. It's actually not too bad once I get into it and I get to going. It's like, all right, just focus. Here we go. This is where we are. This is what's happening here. What's happening now? Okay, and it's going to take us here. And then this is, you know, and you just got to fill in the blanks. I don't see every scene of the story. One of the great things about writing it, though, and the name of the story is Holiday. It takes 2 characters from River Road, the book that I finished a long time ago. I finished in 2005. It takes 2 of the main characters of that story. It takes them 13 years into the future, and it puts them in a totally different environment. So if you read River Road, or you listened to me read it, and you didn't like the whole religious angle of it, there's none of that in Holiday. There's no church. There's none of that. It's a totally different kind of environment. Actually, most of the story takes place in downtown Greensboro. That's just where I saw it. Like, that's where it happens. And it really all focuses on, everything happens in Greensboro. Not that it's really relevant to the story. Well, at least part 1. There are going to be 2 very distinct parts to this story. I'm still working on part 1. Part 2 never mind. I can't say anything else. I can't really say a whole lot about it. I don't want to ruin it for you, because I'm going to do with I'm going to do with Holiday the same thing I did with River Road. I'm going to read it for you, and I'm going to have it on Kindle so you can download it. I also want to see about having an option to buy a paperback copy of River Road and Holiday. I'm kind of torn on how I want to do that. Like, I don't want to put it up before I read it all, but it's going to take so damn long to read it all. I might as well just go ahead and put it up for sale. I just won't allow anybody to give spoilers, because there are so many damn spoilers for this story. I can't really say a whole lot about it. This story will take twists and turns that you cannot predict. I didn't predict them. I had no idea. And one of the first things people say, and I always roll my eyes, and maybe I shouldn't, because I'm sure for some people it's very helpful. So I'm not knocking this advice, but for me, I just laugh, because I'll tell you why in a minute. The first piece of advice I always hear people give is make an outline. Do an outline of what you want to write about. And, you know, boop, 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 boop. And maybe for some people that works. But my brain, there is like a squirrel running around in my brain, and it would eat that outline for lunch, and then it would spit it out and keep running around. I have just a squirrel running around in my head. Outlines don't work for me. If I had tried to create an outline for holiday, I would have thrown it out within the first 30 pages, because I would have looked at it like, yeah, no, hell no, no. If outlines don't work for you, don't worry, because they don't work for me either. I mean, you can try it. There's nothing wrong with it. I am not knocking it. I'm a goober on the internet. I don't know jack squat about anything. Try the outline, you know, like, I can see where it'd be very helpful. You know, I want to write a story, and I want to write it about this. Dot, 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 dot. It may give you a nice framework to work with, and I think that's the whole point of the outline. Did you ever see the movie, A Beautiful Mind? When I imagine what the outline of holiday would look like, if you saw the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, I believe it was. Is that his name? Anyway, okay, so I hate spoiler. This is an old ass movie. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it for you. Anyway, he's schizophrenic, and you find out later in the movie that he's schizophrenic. So all these crazy things that have happened to him didn't actually happen, and his wife goes out to the shed behind the house. And that's where you thought like the FBI or something was doing top secret shit. And you open it up, and it's just like there are just papers all over the walls just blowing around, and there's yarn tied to the papers, and it's just like chaos. That would be the outline for holiday. It would look about like the inside of that damn shed in A Beautiful Mind. Like I couldn't make an outline for this story. It would. I'd have to put it up on the walls with yarn and shit circled and numbers everywhere and just little post-it notes, and good God, it would cover the walls in this room. I can't do it. This story is unbelievably wild. I just, damn. I thought I knew how it was going to go. I didn't know. And that's one thing you have to be open to, in my opinion. Like if you're trying to write a book, you're writing something really long, that shit's going to take turns that you didn't anticipate. For me, once I get into that, this is my 4th book. I wrote 2 before River Road. Now, those 2 were not great. They were not, but they were wonderful practice. They were wonderful practice. The further I get into a story, the less control I have over it. Like, I have lost complete control of holiday. I have no control. I'm not even out of the first part yet. Now, holiday was long. How long was that thing? I can't remember how long holiday was, but it took me 17 long-ass videos to read the whole thing. And some of those videos were 2 hours long. It was a long story. It was a very long story. It was split up into 3 parts. Holiday's going to have 2 parts. There are 2 very distinct parts to this story. There's a very defining moment that splits it in half. Wow. If you liked Aiden, if you listened to Holiday or you read it, if you liked him before, you're going to love him now. You're going to find out so much about him that you never knew. You're going to find out a lot about his past, how he got to be what he is. It's a lot of, I guess, backstory, and you get to know him a lot better. You're going to see a side of him that you haven't seen before. You even get to see him get mad. Like, mad. I haven't written that yet. I've seen it. I see these scenes in my mind. I've seen it. I don't know if I can do it justice, but there is this one point when he gets mad. It's scary. It's scary. Oh my God. Yeah, things take a turn, and it's not good. He gets very, very mad at somebody. I'm not going to tell you who or why, but yeah. Wow. So even if you write and it's shit, or you read it and you're like, oh, that's terrible. Everybody who has ever written any amount of anything has written shit. Okay, I've written lots of shit. The first 2 books I wrote were not good. Okay, the first one was called Patchwork. The second one was called A Thin Line. A Thin Line? Something like that. But they were great practice. Now, they weren't as long as Holiday, but they were pretty long. And I learned a lot about my style, and that's one thing you have to find. And what is your writing style? Because everybody has one. You just have to kind of find it. I found mine early on, and that is I'm most comfortable writing stories from more than one point of view. I have the narrator, and then I'll have a character usually, and they kind of alternate. And I did that in Holiday, and you have the same thing in River Road. Listen to people talk to each other. Get a feel for how real conversations flow. And it's really good too if you can see them written down, because real conversations stop, they start, people talk over each other, the subject gets changed, and make note of what's going on while they're talking. Because that's one thing when I write dialogue, I'm not just telling you what they're saying, I'm telling you what they're doing, because I can see it in my mind. It's like I'm watching a movie and I'm just telling you everything I see and hear in that movie. And every now and then I have to pause it and like, hang on a minute, and I scratch something out and I change it. That's my notebooks are full of shit just scratched out. Hang on a minute, and I write over here and no, and I'll go back and read it like, nope, take that whole damn paragraph out. Got to redo it. I was doing that earlier today on my lunch hour. I was going back through a particular scenario, and I didn't like the way it was worded. Like, that's not quite what I saw. That's not quite right. I need to rewrite that. And so I did. And I like it, but I'm happier with it now. You're going to write stuff that's not great, and that's okay. That's okay. Think about it like you're learning to use a musical instrument. And you kind of are learning how to use an instrument. You're learning how to use your mind. You're learning how to take what you see in your mind and translate it into words on a page or words on a screen, however you like to do it. That takes time. You're not going to just jump right into it and write an award-winning novel. I mean, hell, you might, but I don't think that's the way it is for most people. Like if you were just learning to play the violin, it's going to sound like you're killing a cat for a while. Or bagpipes, that would sound more like killing something. You ever heard somebody learning to play the bagpipes? It's painful, but you got to go through it. You got to make all the bad noise. You just do it. And then eventually it's going to sound great, but you got to get through the bad part. Is it always going to sound great? No, you can still write shit. I mean, even if you've been doing it forever. I'm still very capable of just writing shit. I'm very good at that still. And sometimes you just have to look at it and go, yeah, that's bad. Anyway, carry on. Keep going. Don't let it stop you. Anything that you enjoy, you shouldn't let somebody stop you from doing it. If you enjoy it, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And be mindful, consider the source. If somebody criticizes you, consider the source. I've told this story before. Back when I wrote, was it Patchwork? There used to be somebody in my life that a person that I really valued their opinion, and I thought a lot of them. I had a tremendous amount of respect for this person. And they read Patchwork and said, you know, some people think they're writers and they're just not, and they really just need to stop. I mean, who do you think you are? Do you think you're Shakespeare? Think you're Stephen King? You really think you can write? No, if I were you, I wouldn't bother with it anymore. I mean, no offense, but yeah, no, that's not it. You're definitely not. Don't bother. Just yikes. That was a stinker right there. Anyway, it really hurt. It really hurt. It crushed me to have this person say this to me, because I really value their opinion. And it hurt, but it didn't stop me. It's like sometimes, you step on a bug and you pick your foot up and it ambles away. That was me. You squished me, but you didn't kill me. And it was my first attempt at trying to write a book, and I wrote it in my early 20s. And looking back, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it wasn't great. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, for a first attempt, I thought it was pretty damn good. And it really hurt when this person told me that. But I went back and I reread it. I thought, no, I'm not going to stop. I enjoyed it. I'm going to keep going. To hell with what that person said. They can have whatever opinion they want to have. That's fine. But consider this source. This was a person, and you may have people in your life like this. They don't want to see you do well. They don't want to see you succeed. So they're going to poo-poo and, you know, minimize and discount anything that you care about. And they might make fun of it, you know, like, oh, look, that's so cute. She thinks she could write a book. Aw, that's so sweet. Anyway, go get me a beer. Just, you know, just you can use that book for a doorstop or something. It's not good for anything else. You may have people in your life like that. There are people like that that have a vested interest in seeing you not succeed at stuff. My advice would be to get the hell away from people like that if you can. I certainly did. This is a person who is no longer giving me advice on anything, and I don't care if I never see them again. I mean, look at them. I mean, it may not be a safe or a good idea to say it to the person, but just think it to yourself. What have you done? You know, who are you to sit there and say anything about what I'm doing? I mean, you haven't accomplished anything. You're no expert on anything either. So, yeah, this person was no expert in anything, and really, like, your opinion is not. I don't know why I ever looked up to you and thought you were the shit, because you're really not. You're just shit. You're not the shit, you're just shit. Anyway, don't let other people try to stop you from trying to write. If you want to write, do it. If you have to keep it to yourself, if you want to keep it to yourself, that's totally fine. Or you can show it to people. Now, you never know what their response is going to be. Again, they may love it, they may not. I mean, everybody's not going to love everything you do anyway. I mean, there are people who didn't like River Road. They thought it was stupid. It was too long, too this, too that. That's okay. That's okay. It's like any art. I mean, you can paint a picture and some people will love it and some people won't. That's just the nature of art creation when you're creating a new thing. And I think that's what's scary about it for me, is I'm going to take it, because it's very intimate. You're taking these thoughts and these ideas and you're putting them on paper and you're making yourself very vulnerable. I'm going to put this story out here and these new things. Look at what I'm doing here. I'm writing this out. Nobody's done this. This is a unique thing, because whatever you write is going to be unique. You're going to come up with a unique story that's never existed before. And that's scary, because what if people don't like it? What if people don't like me? You know, even I, on some level, give a shit about what people think of me. Like, what if it's bad? What if it sucks? What if nobody likes it? Oh, it's like they're criticizing my baby, because I feel like it's my baby. You know, I've spent so much time creating this. How can you hate it? How do you say I have an ugly baby? But yeah, there will be people who don't like it, and that's fine. They don't have to like it, you know. As my dad says, everybody don't want a Buick. You know, everybody's not going to like the same stuff, and that's okay. My advice too, one thing I would say is figure out how you want to write. Do you want to sit like I do? Like, I prefer to do it, to have notebooks and just do it longhand. I have notebooks everywhere, and like a bunch of them up in boxes of Patchwork, Thin Line, River Road. The part of Holiday is up there somewhere. Just boxes of notebooks where I sat and just wrote out. That works for me because I write in cursive and it's slow enough that I can formulate in my mind what's coming up, and it's something that I had to kind of practice. Like, I'm seeing the story, I see it, and I'm writing it down. I'm writing down everything I see and hear. And I don't have an outline. I don't know where it's going. I have a general idea of where the story's going. I thought I had a general idea, but a lot of big stuff that I thought, oh, it's going this way for sure, it went a totally different way, and I didn't anticipate it until I got to that point. Hang on, I got to upload my video for my other channel. Okay, sorry. My laptop was trying to cut itself off. I wanted to go ahead and get it on there. If you like to write longhand, you know, make sure you have a good pen or pencil or what. Make sure you have something to write with that you enjoy writing with. Don't get some clumpy ass Bic stick. Get a good pen. They don't have to be expensive. I can recommend what I use. Sharpie makes a fine, a 0.5. It's not a ballpoint pen. It's like a very, 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 very super fine Sharpie marker. I love those. They're really great. They're very smooth. Uniball makes one I like. And there's another one, I can't think of what it is. But there are, you know, you can try different ones and see what you like. If you prefer to type it, that's cool. My process is I write most of it longhand, and that's like a rough draft. It's like a sketch. And then after I finish a notebook, I will sit down and type it. And as I type it, I'm making changes. I'm kind of rereading it. Like I haven't looked at it in a little bit, and I can kind of look at it with a fresh perspective and fix stuff. Sorry, dang, I forgot my pinned comment from my video from my other channel with the link to the article. So scatterbrained tonight, damn. But yeah, figure out what process works for you. Like, do you need background noise? Do you need quiet? I do all right with some background noise, not too much. I don't want like a TV on. I don't want music going. I like to, you know, not be interrupted. And that's the good thing about being on my lunch hour, is that I don't get interrupted. Everybody kind of knows now, like Mary goes to lunch from 12 to 1, and I haven't really told anybody about the story. That's a piece of advice I would give you. If you're working on writing a book, I wouldn't go around telling everybody. I made that mistake with patchwork. I was working in a hospital pharmacy at that point, and I was working on this story, and I made the mistake of telling some people at work about it. Oh, I'm writing a book. Are you really? You know, and they were interested. But it was taking longer to finish than I thought it would. And people kept asking me, like, are you done with that book yet? No. Oh, you've been working on it for several months. Are you not done? No. And they kept bugging me about it. And after a while, it's like they were pissed off. Like, how are you not done yet? You've been working on that book for 6 months. I know, and I'm thinking, why are you so mad? You're not going to get paid when I'm done. Like, why do you have a vested interest in this? Jeez. I just decided, well, if I ever write another book, I'm not telling a soul. So when I wrote Thin Line, I didn't tell anybody about it. Like, I ain't saying shit. So, yeah, Thin Line was real. Even when I finished it, I thought that was really good practice. That was really good practice. The story itself is kind of ridiculous and not great, but that was good practice. And then after I left the church, I had these ideas just come to me. Like, I don't feel like I can take credit for it, because these ideas just kind of come to me, and I just write them as they come to me. After I left the church, maybe a month or so after I left there, I got the idea for River Road, and I didn't know yet what I was going to call it. I didn't have a title for it. Aiden came along to me after I'd been working on it for a little bit. Actually, River Road, there was a whole big chunk of that story in the beginning, like 300 pages of stuff, that once I finished it and I really started to go beyond it, when I started to get into Aiden's stuff, I look back like, you don't need any of that. And I wish I had saved it, but I just deleted it. I had it on my computer, and I just deleted it. Like, none of this is relevant. You don't need any of this. And I just deleted it and kept going. I got the idea for the title one night. I was sitting there. I still remember I was sitting in my computer. I was smoking a cigarette, and I was reading over part of it, and the radio was on, and CCR's Green River, the song Green River came on. And I was sitting there reading, and there's the line in the song, walking along the river road at night, barefoot girls dancing in the moonlight. I said, that's it. That's the name of the story, River Road. That somehow that just worked. Like, that's it. That's the name of the story. That's what it's going to be. And it took me 4 years and 4 months to write that book. I don't even want to tell you how long I've been working on Holiday. Sweet Lord. I have been working on it, well, not really. I started it over 10 years ago. It was probably like 12 years ago. I first got the idea for it. I didn't know where it was going to go. So another piece of advice I would give you is be patient with yourself. Don't start setting deadlines. I mean, if setting deadlines makes you work harder, that's great. They don't work for me. They just stress me out and make me not want to do it at all. I've had a lot happen in my life in the last 10 years. And so I didn't have a lot of time to work on it. I would go for a whole year and not work on it at all, and I would think about it, but not really do anything with it. So be patient with yourself. Don't give up if it's important to you. You know, keep trying when you can, when the mood strikes or whatever. Don't give up on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself, you know, and just do it. I think the best advice I can give you is just do it. Just do it. Even if you have to schedule time in your calendar or whatever, on your phone, set an alarm for, here, we're going to work on writing for 15 minutes today. I'm going to dedicate 15 minutes before bed and I'm going to write. Even if you don't even know what you're going to write about, it doesn't matter. Just sit down and do it. Just whatever comes to mind, just start writing about it. There is no such thing as bad practice. I mean, any practice is good. So just sit down and do it and just write. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get doing it. You have to use your brain in a way that you don't normally use it, and it's almost like a muscle. And when you first start using it, it's going to be sore. Like, oh God, you know, your brain is going to have to work in a different way. When you're writing, it activates your brain differently. It's almost like you can feel it. I feel like I can feel it. My brain is just firing differently when I'm sitting there writing a story. And the best advice I can give you really is keep going and just write. Just do it. Don't worry about what it sounds like. Don't matter. I don't care. Whatever you want to write about, whatever comes to your mind, you just sit down and you write about it. You could practice journaling. I've never been one to keep a journal, but I mean, I know it helps a lot of people. But I've just always had this joy when it comes to telling stories. I just love doing it. And the role plays that I do for my other channel are fun in a way, because it kind of gives me that creative outlet, you know, that I used to just get from writing stories. But now I can like act it out. And all I'm doing, instead of writing it down, I'm just speaking it. Like when Carl was talking to his mother, I just imagine that I'm just watching her in my mind's eye. Like I can see her and here's what she's doing. And I'm going to give you a little running commentary on what she's doing. That's all it is. I don't plan in advance what he's going to say. I have no freaking clue what he's going to say. But it's the same when I write stories. I don't always know what's going to happen. It's just as much of a mystery to me as anybody else. I just go with it. Whatever I see in my mind, I just go with it. I don't care how crazy it sounds. Now, if I go back later and read it and go, yeah, that's a little too nuts, I might tone it down a little bit. But a lot of it, I just leave it the way it is. Whatever they're doing, I just write about it. I just let the characters do whatever they do, and it's like I see it appear somewhere. It's like I see it, and all I'm doing is writing down what I see and hear, and I am giving it to you. I am giving it away. The sad thing about it for me, I see a lot of these scenes, and today I finished writing out a scene that I have seen play out in my mind hundreds of times. It's a scene that I first saw in my mind probably 5 years ago. And I just now reached that point in the story today. And I was able to sit down, and it took my whole lunch hour. I ate really fast because I knew it was going to take a while. It took me about 45 minutes to sit there just nonstop. And I got it all down. And it was a nice, ooh. The only bad thing is, though, after I write a scene like that, I never see it as clearly in my mind ever again. So one at a time, I am giving them away. And it's painful because some of these I've had them living in my brain for years, and I can see them, and they're so vivid, they're so clear. But as soon as I sit there and write it down, it's like they fade. It's like they're still there, but they're nowhere near as clear anymore. They're all fuzzy now, and it's kind of sad. It's gonna be sad to say goodbye to that scene. I'm not gonna tell you who is in it or what it is. I always called it the Clemens Florist scene because it takes place in the parking lot of Clemens Florist where they used to be downtown. But it's kind of sad to see that fade, and it has faded. If I call it up to mind now, it's not what it was. And it's actually kind of sad. It's like mourning the loss of a dear old friend that I've seen many times. But it's all part of it. I'm going to finish this book, and I'm going to share it with you. I don't know when I'm going to get done. I don't know. I'm still on part 1. I don't know how long part 2 is going to be. I'm just going to keep going until the story is done. I don't know when that will be. But I promise you, when I get done, I will let you know. So if you want to be a writer, you can. You absolutely can. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. You can. You know, you may have in you right now one of the best writers we've ever seen. We don't know. There's only one way to find out. So it's like if somebody asks you, do you know how to play the mandolin? Well, I don't know. I've never tried. You can't say no if you've never tried. And if you've never tried to be a writer, you don't know. And the only way you're going to know is by getting in there and doing it and writing a lot and practicing and figuring out your style, figuring out how you like to write, what techniques you like, what do you want it to sound like, what you want to write about, you know, whether you want to do prose, you want to do poetry, you want to do song lyrics, whatever you want to write. The only way you're going to know is by doing it. And I would encourage you to do it. I know I said, you know, everybody can't be everything, but if you enjoy it, ultimately, I think that's the most important thing. Do you enjoy writing? Do you think you would enjoy it? Then you definitely need to do it. I mean, it's a really cheap hobby to have. Hell, all I have to do is just buy a pack of legal pads every now and then and keep some pens around. That's it. The rest of it just comes from somewhere in this region. I don't know. This squirrel calms down and gives me something to work with every now and then. And I'm really glad it does, because I really enjoy it. My inspiration, I've been asked, what is your inspiration? Everything. You can find inspiration around you all the time. Learn to listen, learn to be quiet and listen and look and pay attention to the world around you. There's inspiration all around you all the time. And I know I sound like a bumper sticker, but there really is. If you could just calm your mind and just listen and look, you'll find inspiration everywhere. So I don't know if any of this helped. I encourage anyone to write. You know, we need some good material out there. I don't know if you've noticed, but like the creative world has kind of stalled out in the last 10 years. I mean, all the movies are remakes. To me, all the songs sound alike. There's just not a lot of new shit out there. We need some new shit. So we need people to write. We need people to think. We need people to create some new stuff. You know, don't take old stuff and rehash it. I want to see new stuff. New stories, new things. That's what excites me. So I'm thoroughly enjoying getting to be the first one to see Holiday as it unfolds. Holy shit. I cannot wait to share this story with you. I cannot wait. Oh my God. I have thoroughly enjoyed this process. Wow. I'm really enjoying it. I am. And I want you to enjoy the same kind of stuff. I want you to see how much fun it can be to create stuff. You know, it's coming from you, and it's awesome. It's better than any drug. I mean, it's just fantastic. I don't know how to explain it. It's scary, but it's wonderful. So I don't know if any of this helped. It's a goober on the internet giving you my advice. Now, I have to get ready for bed because I have to go to work in the morning. But that's all the advice I have. Just do it. You know, just get started. Just do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Whatever way you want to do it, that's the right way it's going to work. You don't have to be some super fantastic writer right off the bat. Nobody is. Nobody I know or have ever heard of. Find your own voice on paper, and you can do it. But thank you so much for watching and for being here. I hope some of this was helpful. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.